The dust and the screaming silence were the first things Beatrice Winslow registered, moments after the world turned into splintered wood and agony. The stagecoach, which was supposed to carry her to a polite, arranged marriage in San Francisco, now lay around her like a broken promise. Her legs were trapped, the relentless sun beat down, and her breathing hitched. She was utterly alone, except for the dead. Then, the sound of hooves slammed into the quiet. Hope was a flicker, but terror was a consuming fire, because out here, help often wore the mask of the very danger you were running from. A silhouette against the brutal sunlight, a man on a magnificent chestnut, rode up fast. He dismounted, spurs ringing out the only music. He was all leather and grit, his face hidden by a wide brim, but his voice, when it came, was deep and surprisingly gentle. "Don't move, madam, you're hurt." She whispered about the others, the banker, the old couple, and his silence was a gut-punch answer. He knelt, his hands scarred, moving the wreckage with methodical power. He was young, maybe 30, with eyes the color of a summer sky and a kind of deep-set sadness only the frontier could carve into a man. He lifted her, every muscle protesting, and as he carried her away from the carnage, she saw the scattered trunks, the still bodies. "Ambush," he said simply. "Road agents. You're lucky to be alive." He settled her on his horse, mounting behind her, his arm strong and secure around her waist. It was the first physical safety she'd felt since the attack, and a strange new shiver went through her. "Where are you taking me?" she asked, her voice shaking. "My ranch," he replied. "It's about an hour's ride. You need tending, and it's not safe to linger." Then he leaned close, his breath warm against her ear, and spoke the words that would change everything. "The journey ends with me." And with that, Samuel Ryder spurred the horse into a gallop across the vast, unforgiving Wyoming Territory, 1875. This was no detour. This was the start of the unbelievable. The Ryder Ranch appeared like an impossible haven, a sturdy timber and stone house, smoke curling from the chimney, a promise of warmth in a world that had just turned ice cold. Samuel, a man returning from a routine supply trip, had been placed on that road by a fate neither of them understood yet. He helped her down, seeing past the torn dress to the lady of quality underneath, a woman clearly unused to the red dirt and sudden savage violence. He had to ride back, he explained, to report the dead to Sheriff Davis. But first, he called for Rosa. Rosa, an older Mexican woman who ran the house with an iron will and a deep, maternal heart, immediately took charge. She clucked over Beatrice's bruises, calling out Samuel's stern housekeeper's name, Beatrice Winslow. As Rosa led Beatrice upstairs, Beatrice risked a glance back at Samuel. Gratitude was there, yes, but also a raw, unfamiliar sense of uncertainty about the path she'd abandoned. He promised he'd return by nightfall, and she clung to that promise like a lifeline. Samuel's ride to Snake River was fast, driven by a simmering rage. This was the third stagecoach ambush in as many months. The bandits were growing bolder, and the law was stretched thin. Sheriff Davis, a man weathered by the frontier, confirmed the chilling pattern. Organized, ruthless, and usually leaving no witnesses. If the woman survived, Davis warned, the bandits might come looking to finish what they'd started. Samuel felt a spike of protective fury. His ranch was isolated, he told the sheriff, and he could handle trouble. But he left Snake River with more than just a burial detail arranged. He bought Beatrice a simple, practical dress. He returned at dusk to a sight that made him stop his horse. Beatrice, standing on the porch, wearing his rolled-up shirt and a pair of trousers Rosa had hurriedly modified. She carried herself with the grace of a ballroom dancer, even in a cowboy's borrowed clothes. "Sometimes fate has strange plans for us," Samuel told her, offering the new dress. When she tried to thank him, to repay his generosity, he stopped her gently. "Samuel," he corrected, "and there's no debt between us, Miss Winslow. Anyone would have done the same." But her eyes, older than her years, suggested she knew this was not true. Dinner was simple, but Beatrice ate with a surprising appetite for a woman who had faced death hours before. Then, the conversation turned to her fiancé in San Francisco, Edward. The name twisted something cold and unexpected in Samuel's gut. She confessed her truth, and it was the first real twist in her story. "I'm not certain I wish to continue. The engagement was an arrangement," she explained, "a duty to a man she barely knew. Now I've survived something that should have killed me. Perhaps it's a sign that I should reconsider my path." Rosa, clearing the dishes, murmured something in Spanish that felt like approval. Samuel cautioned her. Shock could lead to unwise decisions, but Beatrice's gaze was clear. She felt more clarity now than ever. The detour was becoming the destination. They talked late, sharing quiet details: Samuel's life after the war, his mother's death, Beatrice's restrained Boston upbringing. The deep connection between them was undeniable, built on mutual loss and shared quiet. She even offered to work for her keep. "Let's focus on your recovery first," he smiled, unable to hide the small surge of hope. That night, alone on the porch, Samuel fought the feeling rising in him. She was beautiful, yes, but the connection was deeper, a sense of belonging he hadn't felt in years. But she was engaged. Samuel Ryder wasn't a man who interfered with another's betrothal. He tapped out his pipe and walked inside, ready for a lonely morning. Beatrice woke up bruised, but determined. The simple calico dress Samuel had bought felt like an act of profound kindness. Rosa, her gentle murmurs a comfort, shared a secret. Kind, yes, but sad. He lost someone before coming west. "He doesn't speak of it," Rosa said, "but she sees it in his eyes." A new twist was announced by the thunder of an approaching horse. Rosa's face clouded with displeasure. It was Marshal Blackburn, a man all hard angles and cold suspicion, arriving in Samuel's absence. "He thinks Senor Ryder knows something because his land is near where they happen." Beatrice felt a strange compulsion to step forward as Blackburn confronted Rosa. "Beatrice Winslow, sir. I'm a guest of Mr. Ryder's. I was a passenger on the stagecoach that was attacked yesterday. I'm the only survivor." Blackburn's cold calculation shifted instantly. "A guest? How interesting." The implication hung heavy, suggesting impropriety. But then, he seized on the fact of her survival. "Then perhaps you and I should have a conversation, Miss Winslow." He left, promising to return, but not before issuing a chilling warning. "I suggest you consider carefully what you saw during the attack." Rosa explained the Marshal's obsession. 2 years ago, a man Samuel hired turned out to be a criminal. Blackburn seized on it, convinced Samuel was complicit, hunting for any excuse to seize his valuable, well-watered land. When Samuel returned, his anger was barely contained. Blackburn twists words to suit his purposes. "I don't want you alone with him." He vowed to be present for the questioning. Beatrice looked at him, at the honest blue eyes and the strong, troubled shoulders, and her instincts screamed innocence. "I believe you," she told him simply, and the warmth and surprise in his expression deepened the connection between them. The short acquaintance felt more real than years of stilted Boston conversations. The real trouble arrived that afternoon. Blackburn wasn't alone. He brought Sheriff Davis, lending an air of legitimacy to the interrogation. Beatrice sat on the sofa, Samuel standing guard nearby, her hands folded. Blackburn attacked immediately. "Describe the men who attacked the stagecoach." Beatrice remained firm, repeating the truth. "I lost consciousness. I never saw them clearly." Blackburn sneered. Convenient. his eyes fixed on Samuel. "Mighty fortunate you happened along when you did, Ryder. Almost as if you knew exactly where to look." Beatrice erupted, defending him. "Are you suggesting Mr. Ryder was somehow involved in the attack that killed 4 innocent people?" Blackburn's reply was chillingly personal. "Men with seemingly respectable facades have been known to lead double lives. Keep your rifle close, Ryder." The clear accusation of double life hung in the air. After they left, Samuel admitted the whole truth about Tom Jenkins, the hired hand who lied during his trial, claiming Samuel was his partner. Let's just say the Marshal sees conspiracies where most men see coincidence. But Beatrice's faith in him was unwavering. "I believe you," she repeated, sealing their bond. The days settled into an easy rhythm. Her bruises faded, replaced by purpose. She helped Rosa, discovering a deep satisfaction in the ranch's hard work. Letters went out, one to her aunt explaining the delay, and a difficult one to Edward in San Francisco. A week passed, and the next twist was her own choice. Standing by the corral, watching Samuel work a young horse, she felt the silence stretch between them. He asked about her plans, the eastbound stage for Boston left in 2 days. She turned to him, the open Wyoming sky matching the new openness in her heart. "Edward and I barely know each other. It was an arrangement. How strange that it took nearly dying to make me question whether I was truly living." He asked what she would do instead. A teacher, she realized, responding to an earlier comment by the sheriff. "I could do that. Her education, once a mere embellishment for society, could build something meaningful here." Samuel's hand moved to cover hers on the fence rail. "Whatever you decide, you have a place here for as long as you need." The connection, unspoken but overwhelming, hung between them until Rosa called them in for dinner. That night, Beatrice wrote 2 letters. The first, firmly breaking her engagement to Edward. The second, informing her aunt she was staying. A new life was born on the frontier. The next morning, her decision was cemented. "I thought I might ride into town with you, speak with Sheriff Davis about the teaching position." Surprise and pure joy mingled in Samuel's eyes. "You've decided, then?" "I have," she said, conviction steadying her voice. "It's time I built a life of my own choosing." The ride to Snake River was filled with shared glances and a familiar, comfortable silence. Beatrice secured her employment as Snake River's first schoolteacher. As they rode back, she stole glances at Samuel, realizing he was no longer a temporary hero, but the center of her future. That evening, sitting on the porch as the sun bled orange and pink across the mountains, Samuel began to lean toward her. "Beatrice, I—" The moment, heavy with unspoken love, was violently shattered. The sound of multiple, fast-approaching horses tore through the stillness. Samuel was instantly on his feet. "Stay here," he ordered, calling for Rosa and his rifle. The figures materialized from the dusk, Marshal Blackburn and 4 armed deputies. "Samuel Ryder," Blackburn called out, his face set in grim satisfaction. "I have a warrant for your arrest on charges of conspiracy, robbery, and murder." Beatrice's blood ran cold. "What murder?" Samuel demanded, standing his ground. Blackburn flourished a document. "We've apprehended one of the gang, and he's named you as the mastermind. The ultimate twist, the hero framed as the villain." Beatrice rushed to Samuel's side. "That's absurd. Mr. Ryder saved me." "Perhaps to establish an alibi, Miss Winslow, or perhaps because you were part of his plan all along." Blackburn's words were poison. Samuel's fist clenched. "Your quarrel is with me, Blackburn. Leave her out of this." They shackled Samuel's hands, the humiliation evident in his rigid posture. "Ride to Snake River tomorrow. Tell Sheriff Davis what's happened. He knows me, knows I wouldn't do this." As he was led away like a common criminal, Beatrice could only nod, her mind reeling. "What do we do now?" she whispered, staring into the dark. Rosa, the strong matriarch, squared her shoulders. "Now, señorita, we fight. For Señor Ryder, we fight." Dawn found them riding for Snake River, driven by a sleepless night of furious, whispered planning. They knew the arrest was too convenient, too perfectly timed right after Beatrice decided to stay. Blackburn had been watching. At the sheriff's office, Davis was shocked. "This is Blackburn's doing. He's been after Samuel since that business with Jenkins. But a federal marshal's warrant outranked him." Beatrice had an epiphany, a crucial realization that cut through the fear. "I'm the only witness. What if Blackburn is using my presence at the ranch to build a case against Samuel? What if there is no gang member who's confessed?" Rosa's theory was grim. Señor Ryder's ranch sits on valuable grazing territory. If he were convicted, the property would be seized. The motive was land, pure, simple, ruthless greed, disguised by a badge. Davis confirmed his worst suspicions. The sheriff gave Beatrice a small revolver. "These are uncertain times, and you ladies are alone out there now." She took it, the cold steel a shocking confirmation of the battle ahead. The fight for Samuel was about to turn violent. Back at the ransacked ranch, Rosa showed Beatrice Samuel's locked safe. Only Señor knows the combination. Beatrice felt a desperate need to open it. What if the papers inside held the key to his innocence? Days of tense waiting followed, filled with meager news. Then, the inevitable gut-wrenching turn. The trial's been moved up, scheduled for tomorrow morning in Cheyenne. Blackburn was rushing the execution, determined to crush Samuel before anyone could rally. "I'm coming with you," Beatrice declared immediately, ignoring the grueling 30-mile ride to the train station. Her testimony was the only weapon Samuel had. Rosa pressed a small silver St. Michael medallion into her hand, protector of those who seek justice. On the dark train ride to Cheyenne, Davis explained the final twist of the knife. Blackburn was rushing the trial precisely because Beatrice had decided to stay. She was an educated, articulate defense witness, and Blackburn needed her neutralized before her testimony could carry any weight. Her love for Samuel had become the reason for his immediate peril. In Cheyenne, the news was devastating. Judge Hollister's hands were tied. Blackburn had presented sworn testimony from a captured gang member. The trial proceeded at 10 a.m. "Can I at least see him?" she begged. No visitors allowed. The isolation was total. At the courthouse, Beatrice's heart seized as Samuel was led in, shackled and worn, yet holding himself with dignity. He met her gaze, and the flash of emotion, gratitude, relief, a raw, deep love, made her breath catch. Marshal Blackburn was smug, presenting his key witness, EMTT Thorne, a wiry, shifty-eyed man who claimed Samuel was the calculating mastermind, his ranch the base of operations. Thorne swore under oath that Samuel had planned the last attack for a woman carrying valuable jewelry and ordered that no witnesses survive this time. Beatrice felt cold dread. The man was lying, but Samuel's inexperienced court-appointed lawyer, Crawford, was too weak to challenge him. When Beatrice took the stand, her heart hammered. She spoke of Samuel's honor, his immediate reporting of the crime, the honest work of the ranch. But under Blackburn's relentless cross-examination, she was led into a trap. Blackburn twisted her truth. "And would your decision to remain have anything to do with your relationship with the defendant?" She denied more than friendship, but Blackburn pressed, weaponizing the simple fact of her survival. "How can you be certain that Mr. Ryder himself wasn't involved?" She countered with a logic born of desperation. A man who had participated in killing 4 innocent people wouldn't have risked taking in a surviving witness. But Blackburn's final shot was devastating. "There was no payroll on our coach," she stated firmly. Blackburn pounced. "And how would you know that, Miss Winslow, unless you had inside information? Unless perhaps you were working with Ryder all along?" The courtroom gasped. Beatrice was now on trial too. The judge announced a recess for deliberation. Outside, Beatrice paced frantically. Thorne. The name was a phantom memory. Davis stiffened. Thorne, I knew that name. EMTT Thorne was one of the men who worked briefly for Samuel about 6 months ago. Left suddenly. The truth exploded in Beatrice's mind. Thorne was Samuel's disgruntled former employee. He knew the ranch layout. The pieces clicked. Thorne had a grudge, and Blackburn exploited it. They rushed back to the courtroom, the bailiff announcing the judge's return. The tension was suffocating as Hollister returned to the bench. He began to speak, his voice grave, and Beatrice realized this was the ultimate cliffhanger. "Before I render my decision, I wish to address a matter that has come to my attention during the recess," Hollister announced. Blackburn, approaching the bench with his smug confidence, was immediately met with a harsh, quiet interrogation. Hollister then addressed the court. "It has been brought to my attention that key evidence in this case may have been misrepresented." He cited the undisclosed fact of Thorne's previous employment at Samuel's ranch. Then, the final, crucial twist. "Additionally, telegrams received during our recess indicate discrepancies in the timeline of Mr. Thorne's supposed capture and the most recent Stagecoach robbery. Davis's frantic telegram had worked. I am postponing judgment in this case, pending a full investigation." Relief was a dizzying wave. Samuel was not free, but he was saved. Hollister ordered Samuel transferred to the Snake River Jail under Sheriff Davis's supervision. Justice had opened a window. Davis revealed the stunning truth. Thorne was already in custody in Laramie when the Stagecoach attack happened. Blackburn had coached him, a complete fabrication, all to seize Samuel's ranch. Judge Hollister was furious at the attempted manipulation. Back in Snake River, Samuel was safely installed in the small brick jail. Beatrice rushed to see him, pushing past Davis. He was alert, clean, and his eyes, when they met hers, were full of genuine joy. She outlined the evidence: the cattle consortium, Western grazing investments, the fires, the forced sales, and Blackburn's desperation. Samuel's expression hardened. It would explain his persistence. "If I'm convicted, my land would be auctioned for a fraction of its worth. Easy for a well-funded consortium to acquire." Then, Samuel reached through the bars, his hand capturing hers. "Beatrice, you don't have to do this. You could start your new life." She tightened her grip. "My new life includes you, Samuel Ryder. I'm not going anywhere until you're free and your name is cleared." "When this is over," he said, his voice raw, "there are things I need to tell you, things I should have said before Blackburn arrived that night." The love that had been unspoken was now a promise. 4 days before the rescheduled trial, Davis burst into the office with a telegram. The banker in Laramie confirmed the aggressive acquisitions by Western grazing investments, often following legal troubles. The plan was set. "We're going to the territorial prison," Davis decided. "Thorne's the weak link, if we can get him to admit he was coached." That evening, visiting Samuel, Beatrice found herself unable to wait any longer. She shared their plans, and he listened with pride. "You're remarkable," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. When this is over, would you consider staying, not just in Snake River, but with me?" "Yes," she replied, the words soaring on a wing of conviction. "That's what I want more than anything. I know it's fast, but I feel as though I've been waiting for you my whole life, Beatrice. When I found you in that wreckage, Something inside me recognized you, as though my soul had been searching for yours. I felt it too, she confessed, her voice thick with tears. That day, when you whispered, "The journey ends with me." I do now. Their hands locked through the bars, a more binding engagement than any ring could symbolize. The trip to the Cheyenne prison was fraught with tension. Warden Phillips, an old friend of Davis, was ready to help. "Thorne's been talking," he admitted. The prisoner was worried about taking the fall alone. In the small interview room, EMTT Thorne was a broken man, his arrogant sneer gone. "We know you lied," Beatrice stated flatly. "Records prove you were already in custody when the stagecoach I was traveling on was attacked. Davis hit him with the final blow. Blackburn's abandoned you, Thorne. The only question now is whether you'll take the full punishment alone or share what you know about who's really behind the robberies." Thorne cracked. "It wasn't Ryder, never was. When Blackburn approached me in jail with his offer, I saw a chance for revenge and a lighter sentence." "Who is really behind the robberies?" Beatrice pressed. "Blackburn knows. He's been protecting them from the start. And the consortium? They're the ones paying Blackburn to look the other way and to help them acquire land they want. Ryder's ranch was top of their list. They left with Thorne's full notarized confession detailing Blackburn's coaching and his deep connection to Western grazing investments." "This should be enough," Davis declared on the train ride back. "Judge Hollister will throw out the case against Samuel and likely issue warrants for Blackburn." But the story had one final violent twist remaining. At the Snake River station, Davis's deputy met them, his face grave. "Blackburn's here. Arrived this morning demanding Ryder be turned over to him for immediate return to Cheyenne. He threatened to take him by force. Blackburn was panicked, desperate. He was making his final move, aiming for a forced extraction before the telegrams confirming Thorne's confession could land." "My place is here," Beatrice told the sheriff. "Samuel needs to know what we've learned, and I won't hide while he's in danger." At the jail, Samuel paced, his tension palpable. "He's panicking," Davis explained, sharing the news of Thorne's confession. "Your name will be cleared, Samuel, but we need to get through the next few hours safely." Beatrice clasped his hand through the bars, assuring him it was almost over. Thorne confessed everything. The connection to the cattle consortium, all of it. As the sun began to set, Beatrice and Samuel sat together, their hands linked, stealing a precious moment of quiet before the storm. "I never thought I'd find this," Samuel whispered, tracing circles on her palm. "After isolating myself for so many years, I never imagined someone like you would enter my life." "Nor I you," Beatrice replied. "How strange that a terrible event, that stagecoach attack, would lead to the greatest happiness I've known. When this is over," he promised, "I'm going to court you properly. All the proper courting rituals and all the quiet moments at home. Our home," he added, a question and a promise. "Our home," she echoed, their commitment sealed. The moment was shattered by Davis's voice. "They're coming, Blackburn and 5 men all armed." Samuel insisted on facing Blackburn from the doorway, flanked by Davis and 2 deputies. "The only criminal here is you." "Blackburn," Samuel called out, his voice strong. "We know about your deal with Western grazing investments. We know you fabricated evidence against me to help them seize my land." Blackburn's face twisted into a mask of pure hatred. "Lies won't save you, Ryder." His hand shot for his pistol. Everything happened in a chaotic flash. A shot rang out from a hidden townsman, striking Blackburn's shoulder. Chaos erupted, but even wounded, Blackburn spurred his horse forward, pistol raised, charging directly at Samuel. "Samuel!" Beatrice screamed, pushing him back toward the jail interior. Davis's rifle cracked. Blackburn jerked backward, his shot going wide, and he tumbled from his saddle as his horse bolted. His deputies, seeing their leader fall against the overwhelming armed resistance of the townsfolk, quickly surrendered. The justice was swift and loud. Blackburn was wounded, his men disarmed, and telegrams confirming the confrontation were sent to Cheyenne. Later that night, Judge Hollister's official reply arrived. It was the moment of final exoneration. "It's really over," Beatrice whispered, tears blurring her vision as Davis handed them the telegram, officially dismissing all charges against Samuel Ryder and ordering Blackburn's arrest for corruption. Samuel's arms crushed her in their first free embrace. "Thanks to you. Your faith saved me, Beatrice. Your courage and determination." When they were alone, Samuel drew back, his blue eyes shining. "I find I don't want to wait to ask the most important question of all. Beatrice Winslow, would you do me the extraordinary honor of becoming my wife?" Joy, pure and complete, spilled down her cheeks. "Yes," she replied, the single word ringing with a lifetime of certainty. "Yes, Samuel Ryder. I love you, and I want nothing more than to spend my life with you." His kiss, the first free one, was the final word on their long, dangerous journey. 2 months later, Beatrice Winslow became Beatrice Ryder in the small Snake River Church, a ceremony attended by the entire grateful town. Judge Hollister himself performed the ceremony, a powerful symbol of Samuel's complete exoneration. Western grazing investments collapsed, their criminal activities exposed. The true Stagecoach robbers were arrested, a gang operating under Blackburn's protection. The nightmare was finally over, replaced by a life built on solid ground. Beatrice taught school during the week and spent weekends at the ranch, working side by side with Samuel, watching their property and their future flourish. Rosa, the faithful housekeeper, refused to leave, feeling more like family than an employee. One evening, on the porch watching the golden sunset, Samuel held her close. "Happy?" he asked. "Completely," she sighed, "though I have news that might make us happier still." She took his hand and guided it to her still flat stomach. "The doctor confirmed it yesterday. We're going to have a baby, Samuel, next spring." "Our child," he echoed, his voice hushed with awe, tears filling his eyes. "A family to fill this big house with laughter and love. When I found you in that stagecoach wreckage," he murmured, drawing her into a kiss that sealed their future. "I had no idea I was discovering my entire future. When I whispered, 'The journey ends with me,' I never imagined how true those words would prove to be." "Not an ending," Beatrice corrected gently, her hand cradling his cheek. "A beginning. Our beginning." They were entwined, a family forged from tragedy, their love a testament to the wild, beautiful, and hard-won life on the frontier. If you enjoyed this story of love, justice, and the wild twists of fate, don't forget to subscribe.